Hey guys, so today I'm going to take you through my meal prep for a bit of a Finnish special that is minced meat and potato casserole. So firstly, to begin with, I'm just going to cut up my one brown onion and soften that up on medium to high heat. I like to use a bit higher heat just to make the process faster. And while that is heating up, I'm going to cut up my 3 large potatoes. I chose a really soft type of potato that is usually used for mash and stuff, just so that it softens up a bit nicer in the oven. And this time I decided to keep on the peel. You can choose to either peel your potato or leave the peel on. I just washed mine and left the peel on, as the peel actually has a lot of nutrients, so I decided to keep it on this time. Sometimes I like to peel it off as well, but yeah, decided to just keep it on for now. And I used 3 large potatoes, but you can even use less, just depending on how many carbs, or if you're looking after your carbs, how many carbs you're eating per week. And so once my onion is softened up, I just add my minced meat onto the pan. I used 750 grams of 10% minced meat, and then I'll just brown that up on the pan. And again, depending on how much protein, whatever your protein, like how much protein you eat per week, you can just change the amount to fit your diet. So that goes with both the amount of meat as well as the potato. So while my meat is browning up, I'm just gonna make my milk and egg mix that will go on top of all the other ingredients. So I'm gonna add in about 700 milliliters of milk. I use lactose-free milk, but of course, if you're not needing lactose-free milk, you can just use normal milk as well. And then I'm gonna add in 3 eggs. And it's quite nice because this adds a lot of protein into your meal as well, on top of just the minced meat. And I also like to use always semi-skimmed milk, but if you prefer skimmed or full fat milk, don't be afraid to switch that up as well. But if you're looking after calories, just choose based on your dietary requirements again. So yeah, just then gonna keep mixing up the minced meat. But just overall, when it comes to any of my recipes, I like to plan them so that they're really easy for myself and any of you to just switch the ingredients around, especially in terms of amounts, to suit whatever dietary needs you may have. Although overall, I always like to ensure that I have a bit more protein in my meals compared to the amount of carbs. And so once my minced meat is all cooked up, I add in my seasoning mix, for which I use the all-purpose spice, which I use always with minced meat, and then I add in some parsley as well. But of course, if you don't happen to have such a spice mix, you can replace that with, for example, garlic, salt, curry, and paprika. And then I also decided to add in some spinach, just for some color, into my minced meat. So adding that now and just mixing that in there until it shrinks to kind of tell that it's been fully cooked, which is always quite depressing because no matter how much you put in there, it always shrinks to a teeny tiny amount eventually. So once that is all cooked up, I just start layering up my ingredients. So I layer up the potato and I layer up the minced meat. And what I forgot to say before was, when you're cutting your potato, try to cut it as thin as possible. So about 2 millimeters is the recommended thickness. I feel like I left a few potatoes a bit too thick, which meant that they were not as cooked as the others once the dish came out of the oven. So just please be mindful of cutting your potatoes thin enough. And if you have one of those, I think they're called mandolin things, feel free to use that to cut instead of a knife. I decided to use knife this time. And so just make as many layers as you can. That's not very specific how many layers you need to do, just finish up all your ingredients. And I like to just make sure that the last layer is of potatoes rather than minced meat. To be honest, not entirely sure why that's important, but that's what I did anyway. And then lastly, I just added in the milk and egg mix on top. And I actually had a bit of extra of this left, however tried to layer it so that it doesn't come all the way to the last layer, but it's somehow in the middle. And once that's in, you just put that in the oven at 180 to 200 degrees for about hour and a half, I would say, and then just make sure to try if it's fully cooked. It should be brown on the top. And yeah, after that you're all done.